Yeah, she
two
was approved.
women on the redevelopment authority.
That's what,
board
that's
at the
what,
same
yeah,
time.
somebody said that, you know,
Who's the?
Hannah.
Here.
Hannah.
I guess we'll call the meeting to order here. Thank you, Blanda, or Santa, should I say, for the Christmas gifts.
You're welcome. Thank you for your efforts.
No executive session this month. Anyone here for public comment?
No.
Sure.
I got nothing. I can make something up.
No. All right, so
That's
with
what
the
lawyers
approval
report,
of the
making
meeting
things up.
minutes of November 15, 2023, any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Is there a motion to approve?
so moved, sorry.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
So it's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this is a very brief agenda, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Financial report.
There is a typo on, sorry, I'm the one that's complaining about that. There is a typo on your agenda that general fund balance in all accounts is actually $396,000, $483.90, as shown on the cash report that's attached. The CDBG balances, if you recall, before I had on our agenda, or even as you can see in the minutes, I had them split between existing and future next year. I've combined them now since it is technically next year in the federal fiscal year. So that is shows our CDBG balances. And that is all that I have for financials.
All right, authorization to purchase.
Sorry.
I was there were presentations, is there something?
No, there isn't nothing. That's just a placeholder. Yes. There are 3 properties that I think are of interest to the RDA on the county repository list. And these are properties which went through the tax sale process and no one bid on them, so they get parked with the county. And anybody is able to make a bid on these properties for a minimum price of $1,500. And then there is, of course, a $25 deed prep fee and a $97 recording fee for each one of them. So these 3, and they're really, honestly, in the city, there's only about 5 properties on the list, so there's not a lot, which is a good sign that people are buying properties. But the 3 that are here that I present to you are 152 East Maple, which was declared blighted at our last meeting, and we passed a resolution to file for eminent domain. So
What represents 152 East Maple?
152 East Maple is the green shaded one.
Okay, so I can't see a house, so there's a house.
It is a vacant lot.
What's that?
It's a vacant lot.
So how's it blighted if it's a vacant lot?
Well, there's 2 criteria. Like, one is grass and weeds that become a haven for rodent and vermin.
Right.
And I forget.
Logging and taxes?
Well, taxes is for everything, but there's 2 that are specific to vacant lots.
Hazard to children, vacant lot in a predominantly built-up area. Yeah.
The landlord just won't even mow the lawn.
Right. Yeah, generally, the RDA's been taking care of that one. If you see, the house that is outlined in yellow is currently under redevelopment agreement at 148 East Maple, and the RDA owns 2 properties to the east at 154 and 156 East Maple.
Oh gosh, so we just need that one lot.
Yeah, so if we acquire this one, then we only have 1 missing tooth there, and we'll have a cluster of 4 lots, which is great for an infill development. And the property in the middle, to the west, to the left of the green shaded one, is owned by somebody in Maryland. They do pay the taxes, but I will reach out to them and see if they're interested in selling that as well.
You're talking about which one?
The lot between the outlined house and the green shaded area?
Oh, that's owned by somebody in Maryland.
Correct.
Who owns the yellow shaded box that's the big vacant lot?
The RDA.
Oh wow, that isn't
So the RDA owns that big one, and then the one directly across Maple Street on the corner of Maple and George is, I'm sorry, is that Queen or George? It's Queen, sorry, it's Queen, yeah. That one where you see the plantings in, that's the flower garden that Annalisa is maintaining for the RDA. And the RDA, it won't outline because it's not mapped, but directly across the street along George on the corner with all the big trees on it is also owned by the RDA. We always, internally, we call that the Henry Leader lot because he liked the trees.
Yeah, he liked pocket parks.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is 152 East Maple. The second page shows you 225 South Mill Lane. And I asked you to ignore the 4 green boxes at the top. That was something else I was mapping. But it is the small lot to the rear of a Penn Street property. All of the yellow hatched area in the center of the page is, of course, the Hope Street Garden. The orange outline ones are ones that we have currently under option agreement with Foursquares. They're planning for future development there. And the RDA currently owns the 2 small yellow lots on the corner directly below the shaded green box. So again, this is just more acquiring of adjacent parcels.
So, we own all the yellow shaded boxes where the garden is, right?
Yep.
So the 2 shaded lots next to the shaded green lot next to 225 South Mill Street,
Mm-hmm.
really all 3 of those, what are they? Is it like the second parcel that's behind a residence, or
Yes.
was there ever a house on them?
There was a garden there. I don't know. At one time, there likely was a shed or a house or something. There's a lot of lots like that in New York that are just these little backyards, like half the backyard.
Okay, it's a separate lot.
Yeah.
Linda, what's this street?
Hope, West Hope Avenue, 400 block of West Hope.
And this is Mill.
Yes. And ironically, it's not mapped on here, but the large trees that run north and south along Mill, directly across from this shaded green lot, is 420 West Princess, which the RDA made a motion to acquire through eminent domain at its last meeting as well. So there's a possibility that we may acquire those thick trees directly across Mill from this lot as well.
So that's just that part from that, there's a line there going horizontally, so from that part down, or is it the whole way out to?
It's the whole way out to Princess, yeah.
Is there a structure on that, or is that?
Yeah, there's a house on the corner at Mill and Princess. And then the last one is,
Wait, before we.
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Remind me again, because this is quite a large concentration, a lot of acres. What's the long-term plan with all of these? Are we waiting for the developer, or are we just gonna have even more gardens?
Well, interestingly enough, Chairman Black and I had a meeting a month ago with Frank Dittenhafer, who had done a study in 2008 for the city on what this could look like if it were redeveloped with houses. And we've asked him to put together a proposal to see what that would look like as housing.
This is fairly close to Densify, right?
It is 3 parcels away from Densiply.
So is the idea we continue to garden bank it for a couple of years, and when Densify is finished, suddenly this is more attractive to developers?
Either that or do it now, because there's such a demand for housing right now, and what we'd like to do, though, is look at it at a holistic view, rather than selling off 1 at a time or 3 at a time. Let's look at what the master plan is of this whole thing. And if you see the 2 yellow lines, 2 lots to the bottom right of your page, that is 236 and 238 South Penn Street that were demolished about a year ago. So, and in my little brain, that becomes a nice walking path that connects Penn Street back to this new development.
Was the garden fully utilized this year?
It was, apparently, according to their email report, it was, but I have not seen a lot of activity, and we have trouble with the weeds and maintenance out there. So I'm not aware that it's being utilized as heavily as it could be. And did I talk about East South Street is the property that was declared blighted? I may have misspoke and said that it was Maple, but 38 East South was declared blighted. It is a vacant lot because the house collapsed and the city did an emergency demolition last year. And that is very, very much covered with weeds and vacant lot problems. So again, rather than filing for eminent domain, we can just buy it from the repository. And I did stop by and talk to the owner of 42 East South. There were some people outside working on that property, and asked them if they would be interested in acquiring the adjacent parcel, and they indicated that they may be. So if we acquire this, there's an opportunity to sell it to the neighboring property.
Well, let me ask you a question. If it's in such terrible condition and has rubble and whatnot on it, are we gonna have to spend money to clean it up?
I think we need to spend money on mowing it and cleaning it up, but in theory, it should not have that much rubble on it. It's just weeds, yeah.
All right. Do we have an authorization to purchase the following properties from New York County Repository List for $1,500 each? 152 East Maple, 225 South Mill Lane, and 38 East South Street.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Investment of funds.
This is something I'm seeking permission to explore rates from different lenders or banks. I think that given our current cash position of almost $400,000 and our AR of $350 right now, that we could probably afford to take maybe $100,000 or $200,000 and park it somewhere for a year or 18 months. And see what kind of rates we can get. I've seen rates are up now, 4 or 5% for a CD or money market. And I'd like to explore some possibilities there to get that money out of a lesser interest-bearing account and park it somewhere where the RDA could make some money off of it.
Do we know what rate we're getting right now?
I don't. I'm sorry. I should have pulled that up. It's 1.5 maybe.
So I did do some investigating of some rates, and for a liquid money market account, there's one out there we can get for over 4. For just a simple move of repositioning some funds, triple or double our interest rate.
Sounds good to me.
So, all right, do we have a motion to authorize staff to explore investment options for medium to long-term cash in a CD or money market account?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Authorization to apply for grant funds.
Yes, the State Office of Budget announced last week that the window is open to submit for RACP funding, and it is only open till January 12th. I don't believe that it's required, but it's a good idea to have a resolution from the board authorizing the application for grant funding. Right now, I am planning to apply for additional funding for Penn Market and additional money for the Sylvia Newcomb Health/Police Center project at the old Pine Street School. And just had a conversation this afternoon with another potentially large project that might be interested in partnering with the RDA to have us apply for funds on their behalf for a significant development project. So it's just, I'm sorry I don't have any details yet on the amounts or the actual projects, but at this point it's kind of a blanket authorization to apply for money for our projects, basically.
Any questions?
So, the $64,000 question is, RACP grants flowed quite freely York County's way the last 8 years. And as our audience member is probably asking himself as well, you know, how much of a reduction is that spigot, that flow towards York or diversion going to become? You know, I followed RACP grants for a long time. We got a RACP grant for the Junior Achievement Building, Christmas Addicts did.
Mhm.
But York would typically get like one, maybe Don can pipe up one, maybe two, I don't know.
Have you seen Kevin's book?
But the best, I know, but the best times were, other than Governor Wolf, was Steve Stetler and Ed Rendell.
Right.
York
Correct.
got a bunch of RACP grant projects because they had a great relationship, but honestly, most of the time, we don't seem to get so many.
Correct.
How realistic, under Governor Wolf, I'd probably be pretty optimistic if you went for 3, you'd get 2 of them. Now,
Correct.
I know Governor Shapiro likes York, but
Not as much as he likes Bucks County.
Correct, yeah, and that's the question is,
because I'm sure YCEA and Downtown Inc. are probably submitting lots of RACP grant applications as well. You're not the only person from York.
sure, everyone's you gotta throw your hat in the ring and see what happens. We are lucky, we do have a lot of line items specifically called out for York, so we have a lot of opportunities to apply. But I've been doing all my connections up in Harrisburg, and all my consultants and everybody is kind of in the same mindset as you are, is that York was pretty lucky or skilled over the past 8 years. So is there a real opportunity, or is our doors closing a little bit? But
Honestly, I think the best opportunity would be through Seth Grove.
yeah. Oh, and Kristen Phillip Hill,
Appropriations chair
it's
for the House.
yes.
So, I mean, he replaced Stan Saylor, and Stan Saylor got involved in as many of these RACP grants, I think. Kristen Phillips Hill did too. But
She's also on appropriations.
is she?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, hopefully Seth and Kristen Phillips Hill together are almost a half a dozen, right? So maybe we'll get.
But remember, since the Rendell administration, this is no longer a political grant. Wink, wink.
All right, do we have a motion to authorize staff to submit applications for redevelopment assistance capital program funding to the PA Office of Budget before January 12th, 2024? Second. Further discussion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. 2024 meeting dates.
And this is just so I can get your buy-in or approval for having the meetings at the same time, same place, so that I can run the advertisement in early January to advertise the meetings. We should also probably discuss membership of the Project Review Committee. I know you 3 show up on a regular basis, and our new incoming board member is Hannah, who shows up on a regular basis. So, you know, we can have a quorum because we're discussing real estate transactions, and we would announce it as an executive session. But we just need to have a little bit of a discussion on who's going to come to the project committee. I'm fine either way. I kind of defer to Don on that as well.
Refresh my memory, how many committees do we have? With the Blight Committee?
We do not. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
How many, okay, so there's the Land Bank Authority, which Michael and I serve on.
Hmm.
And there is the Project Review Committee. What other?
You know, when we were having a really fresh refund,
Joyce sits on the Vacant Property Review Committee through the city. Yeah, yeah.
Who else is on that?
It is the member of the Planning Commission, a member of the RDA, the mayor's appointment, the Director of Economic and Community Development, and a member of council.
So we really only have one committee,
Internally, yeah.
and that kind of makes sense because we can kind of vet things out, and maybe they can have a more polished presentation based on our initial Q&A. How many people do you think should be attending these meetings?
I'm happy if everybody comes, but we have to be careful with, you know, we can't make decisions, we can't vote, it's information sessions, it's,
Because we close your ears to them, because we always have at least 3 people there, so.
right. And we announce those as executive sessions, so which is, you know, correct.
but with Hannah coming onto the board,
I was thinking about Jason, too.
Built? Yeah.
You think it's someone who will ultimately go onto the RDA board then?
Yeah, there's just like, Hannah, the experienced sheet getting there, she's not coming in, brand new to the RDA, she knows how we do things.
Well, I think that's great, but I kind of thought maybe the mayor or city council got to pick who that person was who got to be in training or in waiting,
No, that was our decision, who we have on project committee.
They don't care as long as it's, they're favorably inclined towards someone who's
Yeah,
been attending meetings that they didn't handpick to begin with.
right, yeah, and with Hannah, I recommended her to the mayor because of this, because she's been on, for several years and knows how we do things, and then he makes the appointment, and then council has to approve, which, did that happen, council?
Last night, yes. No, they approved it last night.
Oh, was it? That's why I was just wondering, maybe they don't approve of who we
Well, yeah, so I wasn't sure,
offer.
I wasn't sure what the mayor's thoughts were gonna be. I told him that we have Hannah on the list on project committee for this purpose, kind of thing. He had really no issue whatsoever, so I didn't know if he was gonna wanna handpick somebody or not, but, he was fine with it. He liked the concept that we had this, the non-board members on project committee.
The farm team.
Well, more importantly, she's been out in the community, and so city council, who, of course, we all know, is inclined to say the mayor wants it, we don't want it. She was out in the community, and they didn't say no, they said we have time.
Yeah, and as was mentioned earlier, this would be the first time in my tenure, at least that I remember, there have been two women on the board at the same time. If it was very brief. And plus, we're all around a certain age, and Hannah's quite a bit younger, so it'll be some nice injection of youth.
Yeah, I like that angle.
So do we need action for the meeting dates? We kind of got off there, and,
Yeah, just action for the meeting dates, yes.
is there a motion to keep the monthly meetings the third Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock here at City Council Chamber? So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? To the order, and I assume we don't need official action for project committee.
No.
All right, staff report?
Just two things very briefly. On the Northwest Triangle, I am in the midst of negotiating the redevelopment agreement with the developer. We have to determine, I'll make it short, but we had transferred the area of the roadway back to them from the city to the RDA, so that is now part of their agreement. And they have to determine where their meets and bounds are going to end up with that parcel. Like, they never intended in owning the stream bank or some of the parcels, some of the property there of that acreage that was once recently city land. So once they determine that, we can come up with the exact square footage that they were buying so that we can appropriately prorate the purchase price, because they have decided they're not going to buy the whole kit and caboodle at one time. They're going to buy it as they develop, parcel by parcel by parcel. So we're negotiating that number right now, and I'm waiting to hear back. Balls in their court now on that. But as an update, they have tentatively said that their groundbreaking will likely be in June. They had previously said March, but now it looks like it may be June when they do the groundbreaking. Of course, hoping for sooner, but we're calling it June for now. And I just got an email an hour ago that 120 North Richland, the Manipro site, its deed covenant states that it must have 10,000 square feet of leasable space completed by January 6th of 2024. And I just got an email with a copy of an executed lease for 10,000 square feet that's going to be leased.
For the same end user?
The one that we had, it is an asset recovery, yes, yes. And they have applied for a certificate of occupancy inspection with the city. So the city will schedule that and go out there. So at some point, once we get a copy of the certificate of occupancy from the city, we will be able to issue a certificate of completion. There is a metal garage that was left standing there. yeah, the warehouse that was there. Yeah.
The fact that there will be people there, do you think that could put some pressure on the owner of the property to do something with the rest of the property?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Are we certain that building is 10,000 square feet?
It is less than that on the aerial view, and the lease states that it's 10,000 square feet. And actually, the lease is 10,000 square feet with a total of 14,000, so I'm sure they've measured it. There must be some outdoor 4,000 square feet of outside area as well.
Make sure that forward copy of that lease to J. King at the Tax Assessment Office and copy that up on it. I'm sure that's what they have on their records at the tax office.
Right.
And tell Derek.
That's the phone call I'm worried about, yeah. And that is all that I have right now for staff updates.
All right. For my report, yeah, just wanted to mention about Hannah, we covered that, and just wanted to publicly thank Team for his years of service on the board. Wish he would have been able to be here tonight for his last meeting, but certainly wish him the best going forward. I'm sure he'll continue to be a friend of the city and the RDA.
How long was he on board?
Was it 7 years?
January of 17 is when he started.
He was a terrific member.
Yeah.